Good morning. I've been dreading doing this, putting it off because I don't want to deal with the emotions and that I have someone that's waiting for these answers and I need to. I need to start digging into this, and so I'm just going to do a little bit at a time and a couple events at a time. So let's see. So what I'm going to start doing is talking about what went on in my childhood. And my very first memory of child abuse was with my mother. We were living in Portland, and my mom was on the phone talking to one of her friends, which she did a lot. She didn't really pay. My mom never played with us. I don't have any memories of playing with my mom. She didn't get down and do like one-on-one with us or like you see other parents do, like, hey, let's build a fort or play with blocks or or play pretend or stuff like that. My mom was all about herself. She always believed that life was about her, and I always heard that from her mouth. It was constantly, she was sick of us, and I mean, she went as far as to call us, when we were little, she would call us little sluts and bitches, and I mean, she would call us whores, and it was hard for us to understand because we didn't understand why our mom hated us, especially when you're little. My mom didn't put us on her lap and hug us or kiss us, or she wasn't loving, and I felt hated by her. I felt like I was brought into the world and like I was a punishment to her. Anyways, on the day that this happened, she was on the phone, and we lived in I believe it was a townhouse, if I remember correctly, and there was cast iron railing that went up the stairs. It was back in the 80s, because I believe I was around 4. And me and my sister Heather were playing upstairs, and I got a hold of a pair of scissors and decided I was going to cut my sister's hair, which any child does. My sons did it. Everybody, all kids are fascinated with cutting hair, cutting dolls' hair, cutting anything. And I cut a lot of my sister's hair, and Heather, I believe at the time, was 3. Well, both of us came downstairs, and when my mom noticed that I had cut her hair, I went running up the stairs, and she came up after me and threw me down the stairs, and my head got caught in the railing. And if you see this scar here, that is where I got cut. My head split open, and I remember my mom panicking and calling my grandma, and she didn't know what to do. And I remember riding on my mom drove a red car, and I want to say it was a Cougar. I can't remember correctly, but I remember the car. I remember what it looked like. And I rode on her lap, and my grandma stayed with my sister. I rode on her lap to the hospital, and I can't remember what she told the doctor, but I know it wasn't the truth. She didn't, I mean, of course, she's not going to tell the doctor that she caused the accident. And I had lost a lot of blood. I got stitches, and my hair never grew in that spot. I always had problems with it. And that was the first incident of my mom really doing something terrible that I can remember. I'm sure there were many incidents before that because of what I had seen later on with, she never picked us up when we cried. I mean, she'd let the babies cry all day long. And yeah, she was terrible. After that, um, she divorced my dad, John Payne, and met Matt Kegler, the most evil man in the world that I know, and started seeing him. Last time I ever saw my dad, I believe I was 6, and I had one last visit with him, and then she married my adopted father, who adopted me and my sister, so he's not our blood father. And she married him in my grandparents', the lower level of my grandparents' house in Clackamas. And she was pregnant with my brother when she got married, and my grandma made her wedding dress and me and my sister's dresses for the wedding. And at first I thought I was getting, I liked Matt. I thought he was a decent person, and, he took us places and took us camping and did things with us. And one of the another incident that happened before Matthew was born. Me and my sister got chickenpox, and we were out camping. I remember being woken up in the middle of the night. My mom was screaming. She never handled anything calmly, screaming at us, screaming at my dad. Here her children have chickenpox, but all she's worried about is herself. And I understand being worried when you're pregnant and you get chickenpox, but you have to be worried about your children too. Instead, she was throwing us around. She was yelling at our adopted father to get things packed up so we could get back home. At that time, we were living in Bend, Oregon, where we had moved from Portland, and it was just a nightmare. And so we got back to Bend and trying to get better, and we did. And that's when things started really getting bad, and it seemed like every day there was some kind of beating about something, whether it wasn't picking up toys, or we just didn't eat our food the way she wanted, or it started with, a lot of it was slapping across the face, but it wasn't just a slap, it was a backhand, and spankings, being left in the room all day long. There were times I would pee in my closet because I couldn't even go to the bathroom. My mom used cloth diapers on my siblings, Matthew and Brittany, and she would leave them in the toilet, and I mean, we'd have to go to the bathroom so bad sometimes I would wet the bed, but she wouldn't let us come out of our room. Either that or she'd put us outside, and sometimes she would put a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on the porch, but she wouldn't let us come back in. And we'd get hungry. We would eat flowers in the yard. And I did terrible in school. I was constantly, I made the honor roll one time, and I'll never forget that because I felt so good about it, but I just never did my homework. I never it was so hard to do my homework being the oldest and coming home from school and always having stuff to do. I mean, my mom counted on me doing dishes, vacuuming, helping her with the kids. It was constantly something. I don't ever remember my mom's voice when I was young, feeling like I wasn't afraid that something was going to happen. The next child to come along after Matthew was Brittany, and we were living in Pleasant Hill, Oregon when that happened. I'm jumping ahead a little bit here. I knew I was going to have problems with this. The sexual abuse with my dad started, or with my adoptive father started in Bend. We were living on a cul-de-sac, if I remember, and we had goats. My mom thought she could handle animals when she couldn't handle kids, and we had rabbits. And at that time, my brother decided to stick his finger in one of these rabbit cages, and a rabbit chewed his finger halfway off, and my mom went into a panic, and instead of handling it with, care, she took it out on everybody, and she did get my brother to the hospital. But every time that she would leave, my adoptive father was a heavy drinker. He would drink rum, and he would drink beer, and he would let me drink too. He would offer it to me, and I started getting. I liked the taste of beer when I was young, but I didn't know any better. I didn't know, it's your parents, so you're like, okay. And after I started feeling the influence of alcohol, that's when he started to touch me. He asked me if I knew what a French kiss was, and I didn't, I was young, I didn't know what it was, so he taught me what that was. And my parents used the lotion, Keri lotion. It's spelled Keri, and he would spread it all over me and start rubbing me down. He would put his fingers inside me, and that's when that all started happening. And my mom would go out at night to the bar, and she wouldn't come back, and he would pull me out of bed and bring me out to the couch, and he would touch me and make me touch him. And I never understood why, when you're young, you don't know why. I didn't know why there was wet stuff coming out of him, or I didn't get that till years later. And then Brittany came along, and she was born in Pleasantville, and I remember my mom screaming from the top of from the second floor. My sister was crowning while she was sitting on the toilet, and at that time I was 9, I believe, and my dad ran upstairs, my adoptive father, Matt, and got her to the hospital, and my grandparents came to stay with us. I always loved it when they came because they didn't hit us, they took good care of us, they fed us well, they were nice to us. It was like heaven, and even if we had to go stay with them, it was heaven. So for now, I'm going to stop there, and I will pick up from where Brittany was born in my next video. But thanks for listening, and I hope this helps. I can't think of her name, but someone is helping me write, and I hope this helps you. Uh, um, I, thank you for subscribing, and I hope everyone has a good day, and I will pick up from here in my next video. Bye bye.